My friend Harry and I here are announcing the conclusion of Giver, Chapter 14. Harry, as much as I love you, I am going to put you down. The exciting conclusion of Giver, Chapter 14. The new child Gabriel was growing and successfully passed the test of maturity that the nurturers gave each month. He could sit alone now, reach for and grasp small play objects, and he had 6 teeth. During the daytime hours, Father reported that he was cheerful and seemed of normal intelligence. But he remained fretful at night, whimpering often, needing frequent attention. After all this extra time I put in with him, Father said one evening after Gabriel had been bathed and was lying, for the moment, hugging his hippo placidly in the small crib that had replaced his basket. I hope they're not going to decide to release him. Maybe it would be for the best, Mother suggested. I know you don't mind getting up with them at night, but the lack of sleep is awfully hard for me. If they release Gabriel, we can get another new child as a visitor. Can we get another new child as a visitor? Asked Lily. She was kneeling beside the crib, making funny faces at the little one, who was smiling back at her. Jonas's mother rolled her eyes in dismay. No, Father said, smiling. He ruffled Lily's hair. It's very rare, anyway, that a new child's status is uncertain as Gabriel's. It probably won't happen again for a long time. Anyway, he sighed, they won't make the decision for a while. Right now, we're all preparing for a release we'll probably have to make very soon. There's a birth mother who's expecting twin males next month. Oh, dear, Mother said, shaking her head. If they're identical, I hope you're not the one who's assigned. I am. I'm next on the list. I have to select the one to be nurtured and the one to be released. It's usually not hard, though. Usually it's just a matter of birth weights. We release the smaller of the two. Jonas, listening, thought suddenly about the bridge and how, standing there, he had wondered what lay elsewhere. Was there someone there waiting who would receive the tiny released twin? Would it grow up elsewhere, not knowing ever that in this community lived a being who looked exactly the same? For a moment he felt a tiny fluttering hope that he knew was quite foolish. He hoped that it would be Larissa waiting. Larissa, the old woman he had bathed. He remembered her sparkling eyes, her soft voice, her low chuckle. Fiona had told him recently that Larissa had been released at a wonderful ceremony. But he knew that the old were not given children to raise. Larissa's life elsewhere would be quiet and serene as the befit of the old. She would not welcome the responsibility of nurturing a new child who needed feeding and care and would likely cry at night. Mother, Father, he said, the idea coming to him unexpectedly. Why don't we put Gabriel's crib in my room tonight? I know how to feed and comfort him, and it would let you and Father get some sleep. Father looked doubtful. Oh, you sleep so soundly, Jonas. What if his restlessness didn't wake you? It was Lily who answered that. Well, if no one goes to tend Gabriel, she pointed out, he gets very loud. He'd wake up all of us if Jonas slept through it. Father laughed. Ha 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 ha. You're right, Lily Billy. All right, Jonas. Let's try it just for tonight. I'll take the night off, and we'll let Mother get some sleep too. Gabriel slept soundly for the earliest part of the night. Jonas in his bed lay awake for a while. From time to time he raised himself on one elbow, looking over at the crib. The new child was on his stomach. His arms relaxed beside his head, his eyes closed, and his breathing regular and undisturbed. Finally, Jonas slept too. Then, as the middle hours of the night approached, the noise of Gabe's restlessness woke Jonas. The new child was turning under his cover, flailing his arms and beginning to whimper. Jonas rose and went to him. Gently, he patted Gabriel's back. Sometimes that was all it took to lull him back to sleep. But the new child still squirmed fretfully under his hand. Still patting rhythmically, Jonas began to remember the wonderful sail that the giver had given him not long before. A bright, breezy day on a clear turquoise lake, and above him the white sail of the boat billowing as he moved along in the brisk wind. He was not aware of giving the memory, but suddenly he realized it was becoming dimmer, that it was sliding through his hand into the being of the new child. Gabriel became quiet. Startled, Jonas pulled back what was left of the memory with a burst of will. He removed his hand from the little back and stood quietly beside the crib. To himself, he called the memory of the sail forward again. It was still there, but the sky was less blue, the gentle motion of the boat slower, the water of the lake more murky and clouded. He kept it for a while, soothing his own nervousness at what had occurred. Then he let it go and returned to his bed. Once more, toward dawn, the new child woke and cried out. Again, Jonas went to him. This time, he quite deliberately placed his hand firmly on Gabriel's back and released the test of the calming day on the blue lake. Again, Gabriel slept. But now, Jonas lay awake, thinking. He no longer had any more than a wisp of the memory, and he felt a small lack of where it had been. He could ask the giver for another sail, he knew. A sail perhaps on an ocean next time, for Jonas had a memory of an ocean now, and he knew what it was. He knew that sailboats were, too, and memories yet to be acquired. He wondered, though, if he should confess to the giver that he had given the memory away. He was not qualified to be the giver himself, nor had Gabriel been selected to be a receiver. That he had this power frightened him. He decided not to tell.